Hey, Commanders fans, hold on to your hats because we're diving deep into a comparison that could define the future of our quarterback, and consequently, the future of the Commanders. That feeling we're on the right track. It seems the front office and coaching staff are learning from others' mistakes. We'll also talk about the new signing. This new signing sent a message to the Commanders players. Underperform, and you're gone. Simple as that. And of course, leave a like and get ready for an analysis that will leave you thinking. It's incredible how the stories of Jayden Daniels and CJ Stroud intersect, isn't it? They're friends off the field, but on the field, their NFL journeys started in a very similar way. Both were incredibly high draft picks, second overall in their respective classes, shown in college football, and, to top it off, won Offensive Rookie of the Year. And the coolest part, they led their teams, the Commanders and Texans, to the playoffs in their rookie seasons. It's a movie script that fills us with pride and hope. The excitement surrounding Daniels here in Washington is gigantic, just like it was with Stroud in Houston entering his second year. The crucial difference, and this is where things get interesting for us, is how each franchise approached the offseason between the first and second years of their young stars. And it's precisely at this point that we see Adam Peters and company showing they're paying attention and, more importantly, acting differently and, in my opinion, much more intelligently. Recently, I heard Mike Golick on the Take Command podcast with Craig Hoffman and Logan Paulson, and what he said about the Commanders this offseason, especially about the additions to the offensive line, made perfect sense. He highlighted this difference in approach compared to what the Texans did or didn't do with Stroud. And look, his comment raised a flag, and, at the same time, made me even more confident in our front office's work. Golick was straight to the point. He sees the Commanders taking a giant leap in the right direction. According to him, finding a rookie quarterback of Jayden Daniels' caliber is like striking gold, something extremely rare in the NFL. And most importantly, the franchise seems to be learning from the cautionary tale that was CJ Stroud in the Texans situation last year. For Golick, Stroud's first year was spectacular, but it masked some roster flaws that, in the second year, became exposed because Houston didn't do enough to improve the situation around him. He mentioned that you can blame game decisions, offensive line injuries, or simply the lack of adequate personnel on that Texans group, which ironically included Laramie Tunsil, who is now here with us. The result, in Golick's view, was a season that, despite having one more regular season win than in 2023, represented a step backward for Houston. Many people expected them to be a playoff underdog, but the deficiencies ended up weighing them down. What Golick said that really pleases him about our approach is how Washington is investing heavily to improve an offensive roster that, even with difficulties, was already among the top 5 in scoring. The front office understood that they have an elite quarterback in their hands and that the window of opportunity to compete for the title is now, while Daniels is still on his rookie contract, which is financially advantageous. Pushing for these improvements at this time could yield enormous returns in the future, and that's where we see the glaring difference. While the Texans, in Golick's view, didn't do enough to protect and give Stroud more weapons in his second year, the Commanders were aggressive. They brought in Laramie Tunsil, one of the league's best left tackles, drafted Josh Connerly in the first round to be the right tackle, strengthened the interior line with names like Nick Allegretti and Tyler Biadasz, and added important pieces to the receiving core and running backs. It's a clear investment to give Daniels the best possible environment to thrive. We saw what happened to Stroud in his second NFL season. Although the team won more regular season games, he and the franchise regressed in almost every important statistical metric for a quarterback. This shows that individual success in the first year, however brilliant, doesn't guarantee automatic improvement if the support around him doesn't keep pace. And that's the lesson that, it seems, the Commanders learned from Houston. The Texans, despite Stroud's statistical drop, were taken to the playoffs again by him, which only reinforces the kid's talent. But the postseason journey was short, being eliminated in the second round by the Kansas City Chiefs, who would eventually go to the Super Bowl. This proves that making the playoffs is one step, but competing on an equal footing with the league's giants requires a more complete roster, and especially an offensive line capable of giving the quarterback time and space to work. Looking at the schedule Daniels and the Commanders will face this season, which is considered one of the toughest in the league, it's possible that we'll see a result opposite to Houston's. Daniels' individual statistics might improve even further, showing his evolution, but the team might win fewer regular season games because of the strength of their opponents. This wouldn't necessarily be a setback, but rather a reflection of the level of competition. But the ultimate goal, the big dream of every fan, isn't to have pretty statistics in the regular season, right? What we want is to see the Commanders competing for the Super Bowl. And the opposite of being eliminated early in the playoffs is precisely getting there and lifting the trophy. I'm absolutely certain that Jayden Daniels and everyone involved in the franchise would gladly accept a season with fewer wins, but with a deep playoff run that ends in a title. And that's where we return to the changes Washington made this offseason, the ones Mike Golick praised so much. If these moves, especially the reinforcements on the offensive line, deliver the expected results, if the protection for Daniels is solid and he has time to use his talent, this reality of fighting for the Super Bowl may not be as distant as it seemed just 2 off-seasons ago. The window of opportunity is open, and the front office is doing its part to maximize the chances while we have an elite quarterback on a rookie contract. As a fan, seeing this proactivity and this apparent lesson learned from Stroud's situation makes me much more optimistic. It's not just about having a talented quarterback. It's about building a team around him, protecting him, and giving him the conditions for him and the entire offense to function at the highest level. And it seems that, finally, we're doing it the right way. The pressure is now on the players, especially the offensive line, to translate this investment into on-field performance. Now, the news that arrived here behind the scenes is one of those that makes us stop everything and think, now what? A familiar name to the fans is back on our roster. This move, which may seem small at first glance, has the potential to shake up the depth of our defensive line in a way you can't even imagine. If you want to know who the player is and what this signing means for the roster battles in the coming weeks, stay with me until the end, because today, this video is unmissable and full of details. The official news came straight from the club. The Washington Commanders have signed defensive tackle Carl Davis. For those who followed last season closely, the name isn't unfamiliar. Davis already wore our uniform in 2024, participating in 3 games and being on the field for about 23% of defensive snaps when he was active on the main roster. I confess that, as a fan, I was surprised by his return, but at the same time, I understand the logic behind Adam Peters' decision. Let's remember a little of this veteran's trajectory. Carl Davis, now 33, was selected back in 2015 by the Baltimore Ravens in the 3rd round of the draft, coming from the University of Iowa. He spent the first years of his career in Baltimore, but was released in 2018, still in the 3rd year of his rookie contract. This shows how unforgiving the NFL is, and how the fight for space has always been intense for him. After leaving the Ravens, Davis bounced around the league a bit. He had a brief stint with the Cleveland Browns, where he finished the 2018 season. Then, he appeared with the Indianapolis Colts before being signed by the Jacksonville Jaguars in 2019. This journey through different teams already indicated that he was seen as a rotational player, capable of adding depth, but without establishing himself as an absolute starter anywhere. His longest and most notable stint was with the New England Patriots. Bill Belichick brought him to the active roster in 2020 and, apparently satisfied, renewed with him for another year the following offseason. Davis continued with the Patriots on 1-year contracts in 2022 and 2023, showing that he had value for the organization, although he was cut in the 2023 preseason, a sign that the competition remained strong. Before arriving at the Commanders for the first time, Davis also had a stint with the Seattle Seahawks practice squad. From there, he was signed by the Dallas Cowboys in November 2023, signing a 1-year contract worth $1.4 million the following offseason. However, history repeated itself, and he ended up being released by the Cowboys in August of last year, becoming available on the market. That's when Washington came into the picture. The Commanders signed Davis to our practice squad in October 2024, and he spent the rest of the season alternating between the practice squad and the active roster, being called up when needed. In 2024, he appeared in those 3 games I mentioned, registering 3 tackles in total. Not spectacular numbers, but enough for the coaching staff and front office to get to know him closely. Carl Davis's return now, at the beginning of the 2025 OTAs, is a strategic move by Adam Peters. He's known to be a solid player against the run, a run stuffer who can help hold the line of scrimmage. At 33, his athletic limitations are clear, but his experience and knowledge of the system can be valuable, especially to add depth to a group that, despite having names like Payne, Newton, and Kinlaw, needs quality pieces in the rotation. For me, as a fan, this signing shows that Peters is always looking for options to increase internal competition. Nobody has a guaranteed spot, and bringing in a known veteran, even for a secondary role, forces other players at the position to raise their level. It's the kind of mentality we needed to see in the franchise for a long time. Those who don't produce, don't stay, simple as that. And Davis knows he needs to show what he's got from day one. This move could also have direct implications for other players fighting for space on the defensive line, especially those with a similar profile to Davis. His arrival increases the pressure and decreases the available spots on the final roster. It's a competition that will be decided in training, minicamps, and the preseason. Every snap will be evaluated, every mistake could be costly. And that's exactly what makes this phase of the offseason so interesting for us fans. We see the roster being shaped in real time, the competition's forming, and every announcement, however small it may seem, can be an important piece in the final puzzle. Davis's return is another chapter in this story of building our team, and I can hardly wait to see how he fits in and who he will directly challenge for a roster spot. Now, I want to know your opinion, fan. What did you think of Carl Davis's return? Do you think he has the potential to make a difference in our defensive tackle rotation, or is he just a body to fill the roster during OTAs? Leave your comment below. Let's discuss this news. And if you want to stay informed about every detail, every competition, and every move of the Commanders, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and activate the bell. Finally, the question that won't be silenced and that only time will answer. Will Carl Davis, in his second stint in Washington, be able to prove that he still has gas left in the tank in the NFL and secure his place on the final roster, or will this be just another brief stop on his long journey through the league? The answer begins to be written on the training fields right now.